Welcome to the Gun Cranks audio podcast, the audio-only version of the Gun Cranks YouTube channel. The Gun Cranks are one of the internet's most unique gun talk shows, and it's anybody's guess where the discussion will go each week. Each episode is packed full of information and gun fun as they discuss and maybe even cuss their way through the topic at hand. The Gun Cranks are brought to you by FMG Publications, the publisher of American Handgunner and Guns magazines, along with AmericanCop.com. If you'd like to see the Gun Cranks face-to-face, head over to our YouTube channel of the same name. But if not, get ready for another great episode of the Gun Cranks.
Hey everybody, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, and thank you for joining us for another Gun Cranks Live. We are the Gun Cranks. That's Tom McHale and Roy Huntington, our boss. How's it going, guys?
Hi, Mom.
Mom. I think we should call him Grandpa.
Yeah, Lord knows. I swear.
I
was talking about Brent.
Well, yeah, exactly. 6 little girls. That's all my grandkids, 6 of them. So,
wow. Handful, man.
A handful, and they're all going to be little shooters, whether the parents want to or not.
That's a lot of single shot 22s. You better start saving now.
I am. Well, that kind of relates to the topic we were going to hit today, which is, so you bought a gun, now what? Because we all know the industry has exploded, especially last month. A lot of folks buying guns that wouldn't necessarily consider themselves a stereotypical shooter. And there's a lot of guns now sitting in a lot of drawers and a lot of closets that we're worried, we'll never see the light of day because people bought them and then suddenly realized, I don't know what I'm doing here, so I just don't want to deal with it. So we're going to talk about that and give you a little bit of advice about, okay, you bought a gun, you got home, and oh my gosh, what do I do now? So my first tip would be, make sure that, you get the resources you need and don't be intimidated by the world of shooting. I'll be the first one to admit the local gun store, sometimes there's a couple of old guys that look like me or older, and they're sitting down there and they're making little comments and all that. That happens a lot.
You intimidate me. So
well, I try, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. But no, I know that small gun shops and places like that, outdoor stores, sometimes can seem a little clubby. And if you're not in the club, it feels really weird being there. Don't worry about it. You already took the plunge. You bit the bullet. You went through whatever procedure you had to buy to go through to get your gun. So you've done the hard part. So now if you got a question, you want to know something, don't be afraid to go in there or your local range and say, I don't know what I'm doing. What do I need to do? And I guarantee you, as soon as people hear that, it's like, well, let's hear, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I think just swallow your pride. Don't be intimidated. Don't worry about your image. Just go out and learn to shoot. And I think Roy's actually got a tip that kind of piggybacks right on that. Don't you, Roy?
I've learned it almost every day when we talk to readers is that people seem to be intimidated by we shooters. And in actuality, it's my experience that, the vast majority of them, not the YouTube tactard stars that we all, just are terrified to even look at, but the average schmo, the old guy that looks like me who's shooting at the range next to you with a revolver, if you approach them, they're always happy to help you, always happy to show you, which is what you should do. And I know in talking to a dealer the other day, he said probably 80% of the new gun buyers in this last little rush of gun buyers that he saw were brand new, like you said, Brent, to gun owning and had never grew up with a gun, never had a .22 rifle, nothing, brand new. And he was actually really concerned about that. He said, I don't know how do I help all these people? Especially now with the virus thing, his ranges were closed, and stuff like that. So what I recommend you do is find yourself a mentor. And if you just put the word out, if you're on Facebook or something, post it on Facebook. Hey, does anybody out there know, gun safety? I just got a new gun, or, whatever your network is, use it. And because odds are pretty good. Some friend of a friend is a gun guy or girl. And it's always better to have somebody actually show you, this is the pointy end, this goes toward the range, don't shoot yourself in the foot, than trying to, just read about it or something. And so I think if you can't lay hands on a mentor, then I think Tom's got a couple ideas about videos and stuff like that. Tom, I'll hand off to you.
Yeah, my big thing, I think, is pride. And I'm speaking for myself because the first time I shot a handgun, I figured, hey, this is a training model, by the way, completely inert, handy for stuff like this. The first time I went, I said, hey, how hard can it be? There's a trigger, you point it at the target, and you pull the trigger. The problem is all the things you really need to know that cannot be discerned by looking at this object, right? Like your finger doesn't sit here. You have to treat this like it's loaded. You never pointed at anything you don't want shot. There's a whole host of stuff that just isn't intuitive by looking at how this thing operates, right? And I think a lot of guys like us can be very prideful. They're the worst students, right? Like I don't need anybody to teach me that. So hey, if you have that problem, go online, watch some videos. We've got there's a great website, and I just can't remember the name of it. What maybe AmericanHandgunner.com. That's it.
Gunsmagazine.com. That's it.
Yeah, both. Because and Brent, I'll tell them where to on Handgunner, and then you can tell them we've got a lot of good stuff on guns too. So
okay.
You go to AmericanHandgunner.com, you'll see right at the top, you'll see a Discover section in the top menu. You click on that and you'll get another menu, and you'll see a section called Getting Started. And there are tons of articles in there, all sorts of stuff, how to operate the trigger, gun safety, what's a revolver, how does a semi-automatic work, all those things that some people might be embarrassed to go ask about, right? So it's an easy way to do it. Right. I think you got some video material out there like that too, right?
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. If you like YouTube, go to FMG Publications YouTube channel, and we have a bunch of different playlists there. You can see a lot of new products and stuff like that. But I think what applies here is, over the years, we've done a lot of really basic sort of how-to introduction to shooting videos. Look for the Roy's Insider Tips, they call it, and click on that.
There's a whole playlist, right?
There's a whole playlist, yeah. And there's a lot of basic stuff about what's a trigger press and what are sights and how do you adjust sights and how do you load and unload guns safely and stuff like that.
All right. Question for you. I popped on there today and I looked, the one that was first in the list, I think it was labeled number 317 or 371. So serious question, sort of. Have you really done 317 insider videos, or do you just make up numbers?
We've done about that many. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
No, we haven't. I think specifically the Insider playlist is probably about 60 or 65.
Okay.
And I'm not entirely sure where he got some of those numbers. So,
well, it sure looks impressive. So
yeah, it might have been total videos to that date or something like that.
Entire career making videos.
In my entire career. Our entire career. I think though, spend a few minutes there. There's also one in there on how to clean your semi-auto pistol and how to clean your revolver, which is, I'm amazed I have like 800,000 views because it's really something that's important. A lot of people are really intimidated by it. And you don't just pick up your gun and spray WD-40 on it. But I think the reoccurring thing that we keep hearing from all of us is to get some help, if you can.
Exactly.
And if you can't get some help, then, Brent will tell you where to go on Guns Magazine right now.
Yep. Gunsmagazine.com. There's all kinds of great stuff. We've got stories from incredible experts down to the very beginner. So as Tom said, don't be intimidated by it. Don't be afraid. Don't, swallow your pride. And before we go any further though, I got to mention safety. I always joke around and have fun. And I always say guns and fun are one letter apart, but safety drives everything we should do. And that's one of the big problems that new shooters have. A lot of times, whether they admit it or not, they're scared to death, and they should be. Guns can be dangerous. But the point I wanted to make is, if you pick up that manual that came with your gun, there's 146 pages and about 300 safety rules. And I defy you to read all of them and remember them. There are 4 gun safety rules, and I won't take time to go through them, but look them up. The 4 gun safety rules, they're pretty simple. Don't point a gun at something you don't want to shoot, et cetera, et cetera. So if you get nothing else out of this video and out of your experience of owning a gun, look up the 4 safety rules and at least try to think about them.
Yeah. And Brent, let's maybe put those at the end, or let's put a link to it or something. That's a
we
good
can do
idea.
graphics and everything.
And we could do graphics and everything. I want to mirror that just for a second, because we've talked about muzzle control and safety and keep your finger off the trigger. And that if you don't do anything other than just assume your gun is always loaded, even if you just checked it, and never point the muzzle at anything that you're not willing to have a bullet go through. Yep. Period. If you just do that, if the darn thing goes off unexpectedly, it's going to be a really loud noise, and you're going to have a dead TV set or a brick wall or something. Nobody's going to be hurt, and then you can be embarrassed, and your ears will be ringing, and but just keep that in mind.
What I like to tell, I love to take people to the range. So when you were talking earlier about go ask somebody who already shoots, and they'll love to help you. Absolutely true. I'd love to help people. What I like to tell them about your point, Roy, is imagine that every gun has a 2-mile long lightsaber attached. That just wherever it goes, it just wipes out everything in its path for 2 miles, right? Yep. It's just a good visual to remember that muzzle. It's not, pointing and aiming. It's crossing or sweeping or, those kind of things. So,
it's interesting. Like that. Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I actually attended a little bit of training one time, and excuse me, the instructor actually taped, they were like 4-foot long, really 36 caliber wooden dowels in the muzzles of the line of people. Yeah. And then as he was sort of talking like that, it was really interesting to watch these muzzles wave around, and you don't really realize how much people tend to just move their guns, even pointing in a safe direction and whatnot. I was just amazed at how much the muzzles were waving and flying all around everything. And he didn't say anything. He didn't point anything out. But when he was all done, he said, "So did we all just learn something about muzzle control?" And it was like,
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. And I know that's one of the things that drives all of us crazy is going to a gun show or a gun shop. And we're very cognizant of muzzle discipline, and that rule number 1 of all guns are always loaded. But especially at gun shows, you look around and it's horrifying. And the excuse always is, well, it's not loaded. No. Rule 1 is all guns are loaded all the time. So. Yeah.
And what do you always hear as old retired cops? What have you heard in your career? I didn't know it was loaded.
Yeah.
I did, as he shoots his wife in the leg by accident.
Well, all accidents most, I'll say accidents happen with unloaded guns, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that sounds silly, but it's actually true.
Well, that's why my favorite term.
What percentage do you go back and say, well, it was unloaded? I thought it was unloaded.
That's why I use the term negligent discharge, and I didn't come up with it. I'm not sure if Colonel Cooper did or whatever, but that's what it is. Somebody did something stupid, intentional or not, and caused the gun to go off. I swear to you, if I lay my cocked and locked 45 on the desk and nobody touches it, the odds of it going off and shooting on its own are so slim as to be, it's not going to happen. So don't ever think in terms of accidental discharges. They are negligent discharges.
Yeah. Good point.
And the old
sorry, I got on my soapbox there.
Yeah, put brain in gear, But I think lest we beat this into the dirt, you have your new gun, you just bring it home, you're excited, you're nervous, you're anxious, you want to show it to your friend or your wife or your kids or something like that. Unless you absolutely understand what you're about to do, don't. It's as simple as that. I mean, at least jump online, watch some of these safety videos, learn the muzzle, learn the 4 firearm safety rules, print it out, tape it on the box. So every time you look at it, you see those, safety rules, and it's not a toy. Like Brent said, it could be fun. Absolutely. That's why we do what we do here.
Yeah.
But they're so dangerous, and you just have to be careful. So,
and I think that rolls into our final point, which is find something you want to do with the gun, because I think what's going to happen in a year from now, hopefully everything's going to be hot, straight, and normal. Everything's cool. And a lot of these folks are going to come back and see that gun and go, why did I do that? It was a kind of an impulse purchase. And you're going to see a lot of these guns for sale on Gunbroker or used guns at the gun shop or whatever. Find something to do with the gun, whether it's just plinking, shooting at the target range, getting into some local competitions, hunting. Those are all incredibly fun and rich experiences that shooting facilitates. So again, and it goes back to what we said, don't be intimidated. If you didn't grow up as a hunter, any hunter would take you under their wing and show you how to do it. Same with competition, same with range time. Just make the point to go out and, what's that phrase? Just do it.
Yep.
Dare I suggest a novel idea here? Why not subscribe to American Handgunner Magazine and Guns Magazine? Because every issue we have fun stuff to do with your guns, how to maintain your guns and, how to enjoy shooting with other people, how to learn about handgun hunting and basic things. And, I want to put a scope on my new AR-15. Well, we tell you how to do it. So I think that's a very good point, Brent. Is don't let it just sit idle and gather dust.
The only thing I will say, though, is it's dangerous because once you start enjoying it, if I had a rifle or if I had a different caliber of gun, and then we've got you on the dark side and your life will never be the same, and you'll keep buying and buying and buying.
It's true. I just talked to a reader who happens to be an attorney, and I'm not saying that to disparage anyone, but he makes jokes about himself, and was exactly that person. About 2 years ago, I met him at the SHOT Show. He had just bought his first .22 pistol. He happened to mention he was struggling trying to hit the target. I took him aside, gave him a few minutes of basic, tips and tricks. Well, now about once a month, he sends me another picture. Hey, look what I just bought. So he is. He's now one of us.
Soon you'll end up like a room like Tom's sitting in.
It's true. I always laugh at that. I had a reader tell me the other day, he says, I don't know about these people. He said, they think they got 200-300 rounds of 9mm. That's enough. He said, if I get below 5,000, I start to get the nervous sweats. So, all right. Have we beat this into the dirt?
Oh, I think we've done a pretty good job of it. Just, again, I think the overall thing is just get out and have fun, be safe, and you'll suddenly discover that the world of shooting is an awfully cool thing, even if there's guys like the gun cranks hanging around. In all seriousness, we would welcome you to join us on the firing line. So if you like Gun Cranks Live, please share it. Let your friends know. We enjoy doing it, and we've got a lot of good feedback already. So you can reach Tom and Roy at editor@AmericanHandgunner.com, and you can reach me at editor@gunsmagazine.com. Please check out both of our websites and subscribe to our magazines and tell everybody we're the handsomest guys in the shooting industry. So on behalf of
Tom, two of us are.
Okay.
Yeah, which two? That's the problem.
I admit I got a face for radio, so that's why I hate this video stuff, but in all seriousness,
manicured radio face. There you go.
Wow. I'll get my mission specific grimace on and then we'll go to town. So anyway, on behalf of Tom McHale and Roy Huntington, I'd like to say thanks for joining us on this latest issue of Gun Cranks Live, and get out there and get shooting.
Thanks for listening to the Gun Cranks audio podcast. If you'd like to see the video from today's episode, check out our YouTube channel of the same name. And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Guns Magazine podcast and check out our other great publications, AmericanHandgunner.com, GunsMagazine.com, and AmericanCop.com.